Thank you so much, Pulse. Yeah, Nif, even with not a lot of playing, still better than that XX support from Elements, who actually was raving about that exquisite game.
This is
Oh, you're talking about me? I'm sorry. Sorry, I had the other support that I had in mind for Elements was this fantastic player, actually, solid bar player. But yeah, what a game. And I think we can just immediately jump into our first replay and I think it quite sums up the way this game went. And this is where SK were doing Baron. They pressed Sivir. They went in. The signature double ulti from Kalista and Alistar kind of combo, but then this happened. And I think this really sums up the game. SK with a bit of an oopsie. And then Elements finally back in control. And it went back and forth a lot. And yeah, it was, I guess, sloppy on both sides. There was some good plays here, but I think it highlights the position both of these guys are in, as there's apparently a fly in the audience. All right, I guess I'm done here.
If you step back and actually look at the game, it's quite interesting because neither team was particularly good at pressing any advantage or creating one. And what ended up deciding the game was another massive Gnar ultimate. Last week, part of the reason SK was able to beat Unicorns of Love was because of a Gnar ultimate.
You think they know about the Gnar?
A single person, a single spell, a single cast in the right scenario at the right time in the game. And yes, it was good that Elements was able to at least stall for long enough, but I think both teams showed very clear weaknesses in getting an advantage and pressing it on the map.
I think, though, when you look down the map in each particular lane, the mid laners did somewhat stand out in this game. Both were playing fairly late scaling mid lane champions. Froggen was 5-1-6 on Kog'Maw, so, you know, kept himself alive the entire game, especially against an Echo who was wanting to dive in. And then Echo went 6-2-5. So both mid laners played up to a point at which they still had a lot of impact in the game, regardless of maybe an oopsie here or there, as Crapper would put it.
Yeah, definitely. And I think they just kind of ended up mimicking each other's play and just got lost in all the chaos as it was.
Yeah, they really did. And I think for both teams, you know, they both came into this at 2-6 losses. Now it's 2-7, 3-6. They're still down at the bottom of the pile. There's a lot of climbing that needs to happen if either team wants to even realistically make a shot at playoffs. And that's what I think the concern has to be here. It's good that Nif is back. It's good that Elements managed to dig deep. But we're still seeing the same problems, in my opinion. A lot of late scaling, a lot of inactivity, and playing to not lose as opposed to playing to win. This very passive play style is not working anymore. And I really think for a team like Elements, that, in my opinion, is what needs to look at changing.
To be fair, they did put in some aggression in the early game, but I felt like it was misplaced. They kept ganking that Sivir lane over and over, and then in addition to that, Nif and Tabs had some communication issues because every time Nif used Unbreakable Will, we saw him get Fates called by the Kalista and kind of ruins that entire combo. But I like that Elements was trying something in the early game. I would have liked them doing it in different areas. But then SK got the better hand, and then eventually we all forgot about how the early game went because it went back and forth around, you know, these Barons. It just shows that there was no decisive shot calling. And I mean, I wasn't able to deliver that on Elements either personally, and it's just so hard to find people that can shot call at the highest level, and it's such an underrated quality in my opinion, and that's why I really want to give props to whoever are the shot callers in those top 3 teams in Europe right now, because it is a skill that is often so overlooked, and you could see the impact it had on this game, especially because neither team was playing to their strengths over the entire game.
Yeah, we'll see how that Nif shot calling maybe comes into play if he gets more than one game with Elements. For now, though, we're going to turn to the Fantasy LCS and see who carried harder today. If you go by the numbers, it has to be Niels. He picked up 9 kills in Origins game today against Gamut, and that along with his 6 assists and 0 deaths left him with 32 points on day 1 of the week. And that means he is at the top of the Fantasy standings. That's a beautiful picture once again.
Yeah, I'm very invested in Fantasy. I've got Mythy on my team, and I'm playing, of course, Chandler Riggs from The Walking Dead. I plan on beating him, so I need my Fantasy team to step up this week.
I plan on winning all my solo queue games, but you know how that goes. Well, numbers aren't everything, though. All that matters is if you make the plays, and our friend Cyanide called this one out on Twitter, and he writes, "Please, Rainovers, first steal my derb, then my title." This is your LCS big play of the day.
Pipman going back to base, and suddenly HK, they open it.
Oh! Rainover!
Are you serious?
You want me to go top or what, Tony?
Maybe bot is better.
Oh!
Yeah.
Nice.
Nice.
Really well played. Nice.
I actually heard that scream just, well, as it happened. Obviously, I was like, oh, what's going to happen? Whoa, okay. It's kind of a spoiler.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. Anyway, today's games mark the midpoint of the summer split. So let's see where things stand in the top three. Well, at the top of the tables, things are very much unchanged, with the exception of, well, the score between Fnatic and H2K as H2K lost versus Fnatic. Fnatic is still undefeated. H2K and Origin, they're very firmly in third, and a lot of more of the same at the middle of the pack. Teams looking to level up.
Yeah, and of course, Giants and Unicorns now getting a little bit more of a buffer over the bottom 5 teams. We'll need to see how that pans out. It's interesting to note the tie for second place, of course, because Origin has beaten H2K already. Technically, according to tiebreaker rules, they're in second. But I really want to see how these two teams plan on continuing the split, because now we need to start looking at championship points. We need to start looking at the different ways to qualify from Worlds. You either win the summer split, you have the most championship points, or you win the regional qualifier. And for a team like Origin, championship points is a difficulty because of the fact that they weren't here in spring. So these are things these teams are going to have to start looking at for the coming weeks.
Yeah, for sure. And time is ticking, and each team they only have 9 games left to go before the playoffs. So every one of them counts, as Trevor illustrated. And we're going to start tomorrow between Fnatic and Gambit Gaming. Then Rocket will take on the Unicorns of Love, and the Copenhagen Wolves will go up against Origin. That'll all get underway tomorrow at 6 p.m. Central European Time. That is 9 a.m. Pacific. So don't be late. Until then, though, we need to call it a night. And on behalf of myself, the entire European LCS team, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you on the back half of the split tomorrow.
Bye-bye.